Hey everyone, let's wrap up February. I had a good reading month, despite it not feeling all the way throughout the month. But looking back, it wasn't bad. I also uploaded a few videos, one non-bookish video only, which was my letter to the month. And I thank you very much for your nice comments and your congratulations for my contract extension. So let's get into the books. Let's start with physical books. I finally finished the Catty J series with reading the last book, The Ace of Skulls, and I uploaded a series review, so I don't want to go into details too much. But the fourth book was much better than the third book again, and I overall enjoyed the series. It's a little bit too much telling and not enough showing, but overall, I really enjoyed getting to know the characters better. I enjoyed the adventures, even though there were slow moments and too much adventure at some point. But overall, this is a fun adventure series with air pirates and air pirates. What else do I need to say? Then I read a nonfiction book in German, Sprache und Sein. I don't think this is translated yet. It's just came out last year. It's about a year old. And it's a nonfiction about language and its effect on being or on our self-image. I went into this thinking it was about labels and the language of labels and how to not use the labels, which it partly is, but it's more focusing on how we affect people with the way we talk about them, that we put labels on other people by their looks, by their religion, by whatever they do, and we don't care about what the people think, what the people define themselves as, and there's a lot of interesting things in here. I highly recommend it if you're interested in language and in the language, how it affects your thinking. Yeah, if you're German. Otherwise, you don't have access to this. The last physical book I read was a sequel as well. The Girl Who Soared Over Fairyland and Cut the Moon in Half. It was fun to be back in Fairyland. I really forgot how detailed and not easy to read the writing is. It's not that it's difficult writing, but you need to pay attention. It's not a fly-through children's book where you think, oh, it's middle grade or it's for kids. You can just fly through it. No, you really have to pay attention. And I really like how the series points out or makes you rethink language you use and the ideas you have that you think this is like this, but you only know one perspective, and it makes you look at things from different perspectives, and I always like that. Before we go into audiobooks, let's talk about the two ebooks I read. The first book was actually a DNF. I had a little bit of a struggles and ups and downs and kept thinking about a comment someone made to me once, that life is not supposed to be so hard. And due to that, in a conversation on Twitter, I get a recommendation for the book Journey of Souls, which should explain all of these things. And I posted more about that on Twitter because I don't want to really go into detail here too much, as I DNF because I got a panic attack reading this. It really gave me anxiety. This book is meant to take away your fear of death. Now, I don't have a fear of death. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm not afraid of things being over. Actually, that's what I want. This book apparently thinks there's a longer history and multiple lives, and you go back and your soul has to relive this life and look at the mistakes you made, which basically is my worst imagination of hell. So I DNF'd. If you're curious, go check out my Twitter. It's probably going to be up for another few weeks. And then I needed something nice. So I picked up The Fifth Gender by Gail Carriger. This is her science fiction novel that I kept putting off because I wasn't in the mood for a male-male romance with explicit sex scenes, which I knew was going to happen, so I put it off a little bit. But when I read it, this was so much fun. The world, it's basically a space station and there's a murder that happened. There are different aliens and different genders, and it is so much fun. We follow the murder investigation, but we also follow this relationship between the police officer and one representative of the alien race. And it's so sweet. The writing is, if you like Gail Carriger's writing, you're going to like this as well. The ideas and the world that she created was amazing, and there was less sex than I expected. So I guess that was a bonus for me. But overall, I highly recommend this book. I enjoyed it. It was light, entertaining murder mystery science fiction with some sex. The rest of the books I finished in February were listened to on audiobooks. Let's start with the 2 nonfiction audiobooks I uploaded reading vlogs for. And I really thank you for saying that you enjoyed this format. I want to try and experiment more with reading vlogs. And I noticed that with nonfiction, I'm not that sensitive to spoilers, and vlogging the content is a lot of fun. So the first book I uploaded a vlog for was Think Again by Adam Grant. And this is the book that looks at our way of rethinking what we do and how we are not always doing that and how that might be bad for us. The book looks in different chapters at different areas in life and business where people rethink or rethought things or have a habit of questioning their status quo or what they're generally doing. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. I must admit, I like Adam Grant and his work anyway, so I was a little bit biased to like this book. I thought it was very informative, well structured. The audiobook was a lot of fun to listen to. The only thing I missed in the book were a little bit more hands-on advice on what to do, or exercises, or tips and structures. There was a list of questions or habits that you can build around rethinking, but I kind of wanted more in the separate chapters. But overall, I can highly recommend it. The next audiobook I vlogged was another nonfiction, Healthy as Fuck. And this was a surprise. I mainly wasn't in the mood for any of the books I had, and this was available in the membership plus on Audible, so it was free. And I was like, why not? 5 hours, let's listen to this. And it was so much fun. I hadn't expected this. This is, of course, about healthy living and healthy lifestyle, but it's more about creating habits around that and looking at what you really want. It was a very empowering book, I felt, about accepting yourself and figuring out what you want instead of following a trend for how you should look, how you should eat. There are helpful tips and advice of what you have to do and the habits that you could create to feel better and to follow through on the things she says. But she always says, whatever your goal is, adapt the habits to that. And whatever your goal is, it's yours. You need to make it for yourself, and no one else can tell you what to look like, what to eat, how much weight to have, what body type. I love that. I was very surprised by that. So I can highly recommend that if you're interested in building eating and exercise habits. Okay, 2 more audiobooks to go. I listened to another sequel as I'm working on finishing series. There's a lot of sequels here. And that was Baptism of Fire, the 3rd book in the Witcher saga. And I like the parts where the Witcher travels and where we're on the road with the Witcher. I kind of like where we are on the road with Ciri. I really don't care about all of the politics and the war and the sorceresses, and I kind of can't follow that on audiobook. I don't know why, but my mind cannot grasp all the details there. It's probably just me because I'm not that interested in that part of the story. So I'm still saying I really enjoyed the first 2 books with the short story format where we're just going on adventures with the Witcher. Now that that's an epic story, I have lost a little bit of the interest. But it's only 2 more books, so let's see about that. And the last book was a classic and a disappointment. Who knew? The Connecticut in King Arthur's Court by Mark Twain. And I had expected to get a fun book from what I knew about the story, but yeah, basically I got some arrogant white American thinking he's better than everyone from a different time. And his plan, as soon as he arrives from the 19th century in the, I think it's the 6th century, is to take over England and demolish monarchy and build a republic. And there are some ideas where you think, okay, it doesn't sound so bad, but when you look at it where he praises always America, and you know it's white America, a very small part of America or USA that he is praising of the political system, and I didn't like that. It was very annoying. He was not a likable character. It was very arrogant, and maybe it was also the narration. As I listened to it on audiobook, the narrator gave this person, this narrator in the book, a very arrogant, superior tone. So that probably added to that. But yeah, overall, I didn't much enjoy that book. And that were all the books I read in February. Let me know in comments what you have read, how your February was. Like I said, I was quite happy with my reading. It was a mixed bag of good, bad, fiction, non-fiction, and sequels. And that's what I want, a mixed bag of things. So let's talk books in February, and I hope March will be spring finally. I'm done with cold and snow. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.